Hey fam, what's up, what's up, what's up? This is Robert Anton here, robertanton.com, and I am coming to you, bringing to you the X Factor US. It is here, finally. I have never gotten to see a full show of British X Factor, and I don't know if you have or not, but I've watched the clips on YouTube naturally, and I have enjoyed the performances that I've seen that have come out of those clips. And seeing as I do commentary for American Idol for like maybe 3 or 4 years now, and for The Voice this past year, I think I am going to do it for X Factor here in the USA. And I want to start out just telling you a little bit about the show really quickly. Of course, Simon Cowell is the head judge at the show. He started the whole show. He left American Idol and all that to start this show. And he invited along Paula Abdul to, be a part of the show with him. And I like that because, they have such a great chemistry, and it has a tendency to be volatile every now and then. So it's always very interesting to watch them interact. On the first show, Cheryl Cole, she's a British pop star, and I've heard a lot about her from What the Buck, because he talks about her all the time when he talks about X Factor. She was the judge. And L.A. Reid of La Face is also one of the judges. Steve Jones is the host. I don't know Steve Jones. He seemed to be personable enough. He didn't really detract from the show. He didn't really add a lot to the show either. He was just kind of there. I knew that somebody was hosting. If you know who he is, tell me who he is, where he's from. I'll probably get more information on that as we go along. Okay, so they started with the auditions in LA, and they said they had over 20,000 auditionees, which is like the biggest audition pool ever for any show in LA. The audition ages started at 12 years old and could go up. So unlike American Idol, there is no age limit. So there are people there who were, the oldest one so far I think was 83. And we'll talk a little bit about her later. The winner gets $5 million contract with Sony Records, a recording contract. And they also star in a Pepsi commercial that is going to be playing at the Super Bowl. Here's how the show works. They audition in a live stadium before a whole bunch of people. So it's not just like American Idol with just like the one or two, the few judges, the 3 judges that are there. They also have a live audience they're auditioning for, plus the judges. They need 3 yeses to go forward. So 3 out of 4 sends them through to the next phase. And then when they get all their pool of people, they'll split it into 4 categories, and each judge will mentor one of those categories. Now, if you watch British X Factor already, you know all this, but if you don't watch it, then like me, you didn't know all of this stuff. They started out with the LA auditions, and first up was a 13-year-old girl named Rachel Crow. Rachel was a handful. She was a lot of fun from the moment she opened her mouth. She was sweet, she was sassy, she was just ebullient is a word that just comes to mind. I mean, she was just overflowing with joy and fun and sweet and just there, present. She's very talkative, and I thought she had a really good voice, just a really good voice. She sang Mercy by Duffy, and the only thing that was funny to me is, when people do the one part, Mercy, they usually go into like their head voice or falsetto. Well, she did it like straight in chest voice the whole thing, and it was just powerful. It was very, very good. It was a little surprising to me to hear it like that, but I really enjoyed it. And I'm waiting to see what more she does. She got 4 yeses naturally, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of what she's going to do. I'm not going to be covering every single person that comes up, but I'm going to try to catch a few that caught my eye and that I really wanted to talk about for this first few audition segments, just as they do on the show. I'll just be picking a few. Terrell Carter, 36, did Ribbon in the Sky. And you know what? He had a very good voice and is a very, very handsome guy. And when he came out, everybody's like, So it'll be interesting to see how he makes it through. John Lindhall was 14. He did Forget You. He got 4 votes, 4 yeses also. And, yeah, I thought it was good. I thought it was pretty good, and another person that I want to see more of. Next up was Siamese Floyd, 30, did Give It To Me Baby by Rick James. Now this was somebody who like in the pre-rolls and stuff were like so full of themselves and I just knew he was going to be terrible. I really did. But then when he started singing, he had a really nice voice. But then he started dancing and splitting and jumping and it was just crazy. And it wasn't necessarily a bad crazy. It was just very surprising, you know. And he was just so outgoing and just so committed to the whole thing. I thought he should have been committed to an insane asylum, but he did have talent. He had a good look. He had a good voice. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with him. He got 3 yeses actually, but he was just funny. He was just funny. That's all I'm gonna say. If you haven't seen a clip of him, I'm sure they're gonna put one up because he was a mess. He very much reminded me naturally of Prince. He did Rick James, so very much in that vein. But he already has all of this performance stuff going on, which actually was a very good thing. Next, I have Dan and Benita. Dan and Benita were 70 and 83 years old. They're married, and they did Unchained Melody. Yeah. I don't want to laugh, but let me tell you, it is a joy to laugh. And if you can bring laughter to someone, it is a wonderful thing. And they did bring me a lot of laughter. They were so sweet, but I wrote from the first few notes, I knew that it was not going to be good, and it wasn't, but it was funny, and they were so sweet, and they were, they didn't have good voices, I'm sorry, they just didn't, but they were just so sweet, and what else can I say? Simon said it was horrible, and Simon has a tendency to be right to the point, like, forget everything else, it was horrible, So, but I thought they were very sweet, and I was so glad that they actually got on camera. They had Miranda Singleton up. She was 30 years old. She did Firework, and she was not very good. She thought she was great, and she wasn't very good. And then they had Simone Battle. She was 21. She did When I Grow Up by the Pussycat Dolls. And then they had her do a second song. Now, when she first sang, she was another person that was kind of full of herself. Oh, I sing, I this, other and all that stuff. And I thought she was going to be terrible. But she got on stage again. She opened her mouth, and she had a voice. Which was just surprising. You know how sometimes you're just surprised about stuff? It was surprising to me because I thought just because from the way she was acting, kind of overconfident and stuff, I thought that she wouldn't have a voice. She did have a voice. I think she wasn't phenomenal, but she had a good, solid voice. And she got 3 yeses. The only person that did not give her a yes was L.A. Reid. And him and Simon went back and forth about this because they did not agree about it. But, everybody has a right to their opinion, and she went through. She got 3 votes. She did the second song to try to convince, basically, LA, that she really had what was needed, and she did good on the second song too, and she just popped it right out and she did her thing. But I liked it from the very beginning. I liked her. I thought she was good. I thought she's a diamond in the rough, basically. And they kind of created, right after this, they showed a bunch of clips that created like a little rivalry between Simon and LA over Simone, but also a bunch of other contestants where one would say yes and the other one would say no. And they started getting frustrated and, stuff with each other. So we'll see where that leads. It's high drama for the show, My next person up was Stacey Francis. Stacey Francis is 42, and she did Natural Woman by Aretha Franklin. Now let me tell you, let me just talk for a minute. I came up as a performer doing theater in New York City, so I know Stacey Francis. Anybody who came up over that 10, 15 years know Stacey Francis. Stacey Francis has, whenever she was in the room auditioning, we did a lot of the same auditions for different shows and stuff, and I saw her in a few shows, including Smokey Joe's Cafe. If you ever heard Stacey in the room, you would not think it was anybody else. This girl blew the windows off the darn building every time she sang. Just a big, powerful, present voice and a lot of personality, a very sweet person. And she went up, and again, she was in this big place, and she just blew it to bits. I don't know where she's been, what she's been doing. I've been out of the theater thing. I think she's been living in LA for 10 years, so I haven't really heard of her or what she's been up to, but I'm so glad to see her on this show, and I'm hoping that, she goes a long way. Simon said it was one of the best auditions he'd ever heard in his life. And that is saying a lot. Next up, they went on to Seattle to do some more auditions, and they had a little change. Nicole Scherzinger took over for Cheryl Cole. And I remember there was some drama going on about that, and it was on Twitter, and I think What the Buck again was talking about it and all this different stuff. So I was kind of ready for it, but I didn't know when they were going to be doing it. So obviously they got the first episode done, and then they switched people. And so Cheryl Cole probably won't be back. And it was Nicole Scherzinger's birthday, I think the second day of auditions. Gio Godley, I think, was the first person up of the day. And he was 43 years old. He did an original song, which is generally not a good idea. This man, for one, I was looking at him thinking he looks very familiar. And I don't know if he's on YouTube or not. If he is, if you guys see a clip, make sure to drop it down in the comments and let me know. But he looked familiar. So this man gets up there, he starts singing this song, and he drops his pants. No draws. And everybody's horrified and all this different stuff, right? And then no security comes up to take him off or anything like that. And he pulls him up and he drops him again, okay? And then Paula leaves the set, goes to the bathroom like she's throwing up and all this stuff. And all this time, no security comes out to get him. And Simon keeps asking for a vote. They keep talking about stuff. It just went on much too long. Just much too long. The fact that they put it in the first place was kind of crazy if they thought it was so terrible and all this good stuff. But then it went on and on and on for, good 3, 4, 5 minutes. And, and they took a full vote without Paula, but they took a full vote basically of the man before they sent him on his way. It was funny, it was entertaining and all that good stuff. It was high drama. Whatever. It is what it is, I guess, right? So next up I have Marcus Canty. He was 20 and he did I Wish by Stevie Wonder. And they made a whole big thing, like maybe he had fainted or something, then they went to commercial and all that good stuff. But then they came back and he sang the song, sounded good. He's a church boy, he's got a lot of personality, he's got a nice voice. LA said that he had the Bobby Brown thing going on. Simon said he had the Usher thing going on. I just thought that he just had a very nice voice. Not necessarily spectacular, but very good, very strong, very solid. His mom was saying that she gave him 2 years before she had to send him off to college for him to pick another career. My whole thought, I do So You Want to Be a Singer here on YouTube. My whole thought is, well, if you're going to send him to college and he loves music, why not send him to college to be a musician or to be a music teacher or, to do something in music? Why should he have to pick a different career? But that's just my little 2 cents right there. I'm probably going to make a So You Want to Be a Singer about that. And I think I already have one actually in Pursue Your Passion. It's called Pursue Your Passion. So you can check that out if you want to take a look and see what I talk about with that. Because it's a good profession, music. And you don't have to be a star to be, a lifelong musician and happy with your craft, as I am. Next up was The Answer. They were from Salt Lake City, a 3-guy group. First, they started off by singing Happy Birthday to Nicole, and, it was sweet, it was nice, the harmonies were way off. Then they did Rolling in the Deep by Adele with a little bit of Till the World Ends by Britney thrown in, right? And I thought each of them separately had nice voices, very good voices. And the guy who did the higher part on Rolling with the Deep, he had a really, really good voice. They did a really nice arrangement, and all that, but their harmonies were just not good at all. They didn't have a blend. If you're a group, you should have a blend, and they didn't have a blend, so hopefully that's what they will be working on during the competition. They got 4 yeses to go through, though. Next up, we had Nikki Collins. She was 23, and she did Mariah Carey. She tried to do them. I think she was doing Mariah Carey. It was just very funny. No notes anywhere. No, of course everybody voted her off. She wasn't. It was funny, and I'm sorry, for American Idol, their first few audition segments mostly are about the funny, and I enjoy it immensely, so much. And I do enjoy also when they do the funny here on X Factor, and I hope they continue to do it because it was very funny and it was very entertaining. It was a lot of fun for me, so I loved it. Next up was Darren Michaels from Vegas, and this man just had such a creepy, funny laugh, and he kept doing it. He said he's a musician in Las Vegas, and his girlfriend is supporting him. I don't remember what song he did, but he was, again, very funny. I got it. The joke was good, and of course he didn't go through. The last person for tonight's show was Chris Renee. He was 28 years old, and he did an original song. I think it was called Hey Homie. Yeah, and this is the kind of person that I think that X Factor really looks for. Somebody who has a backstory, who's been on hard times, like Stacey Francis also, but like this young man, Chris Renee, he just got out of drug rehab. He has a son. He's trying to get his life straight. He's been clean for 2 months. He did an original song, and let me tell you, I thought, wow, how's this gonna be? But the track was tight, and the song was catchy, instantly kind of memorable, and it had a great message to it. And let me tell you, I started tearing up a little bit, especially near the end, where and see, I'm ready to do it again, where LA was talking about basically, I'm gonna call your house and I want to be able to talk to you and make sure you're all right, and don't give anybody else the number. It's that kind of support and that kind of help that people who are going through problems needs. Somebody to say, listen, I am going to help you stay accountable. And Simon said the same thing to me. He said, you promised that you are not going to get in trouble, that you are not going to go back if I put you through. And of course he got 4 yeses because he was just great. The song was great. It had a great message. He's got a good history behind him. And I really enjoyed his performance and his story and everything about it. The only funny thing there was when he said that he was just out of rehab, they cut to Paula Abdul. And I thought, why the heck are they doing that? but it was funny, kind of, yeah, almost an insider thing, but anybody who's been watching American Idol and knows the stories and stuff about Paula Abdul knows that, there might be something going on there. But are you guys going to be watching the show? Are you going to get into it with me? They are going to have another show tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. I believe it's going to be 8 to 10 on Fox. Come and join with me. I will be tweeting from So You Want to Be a Singer on Twitter. I'll put the link down in the description box. Let me know what you thought of the performances if you did watch. Who are your favorites so far? And let's get this thing going. This is for the discussion. This is for the fun. This is for the enjoyment of the talent. X Factor is here in the U.S. And I'm Robert Anton. Peace.